Good afternoon.
Hello.
We will get started shortly. We're just waiting on a couple of numbers. Everyone, we'll get started shortly. We're just waiting on a couple of my comments. See, Mr. Walker has joined us. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes just to make sure my other colleagues are here before we get started. All right, let's get started just to respect everyone's time. Welcome everybody to the FCE meeting. Calling this meeting to order. Before we get started officially with the meeting, I'm not feeling well, so I am gonna get us through the contract, and then I'm gonna pass it along to my colleague, Mr. Walker, to handle the remainder of the FCE meeting. My apologies again. Thank you for everyone for understanding. So with that being said, we're gonna skip check-in. We're gonna jump right into the contract. Excuse me. So I'm gonna pass it along to Mr. Sugarman, Chief Blackberg, Chief Davis Googe. Am I missing? I think I have everyone. Oh, and wait, I just saw her. And Chief Curtis. So I'm passing it along to you guys to get us started. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Escribano. I hope you feel better soon. Christine, are you able to help me with projecting slides? Or there we go. Perfect. So I'm going to kick us off, and I'm going to give an overview of our 22-23 paid marketing initiatives with help from my colleagues, Chief Davis Googe, Chief Blackberg, and also Dr. Curtis. Then we'll touch on our 23-24 initiatives, and then also, of course, then give the overview of Adams and Knight, at which point I'll turn it over to Chief Davis Googe. So we thought it might be helpful to take a step back and to take a look at 22-23 and what the district has done on an overall level in terms of marketing and paid media, because there is a consistent, clear marketing strategy, and that cut across two primary departments last year in 22-23. That was Office of School Choice and Enrollment, and then Office of Talent Management. For Office of School Choice and Enrollment, it's an annual campaign. We're going to get into a conversation about funding sources and some of the specific deliverables, but just wanted to outline that it was an annual campaign targeting Hartford residents and families, also from surrounding districts. There's a big awareness push on the magnet and choice school process, and then also conversion, making sure to drive those families into consideration and to submit applications, and then of course for enrollment as well. So there's top of mind consideration, and then also a call to action that was a part of that campaign last year and has been consistent over the last few years. For Office of Talent Management, the other department, again, there was I think everyone on the call is pretty familiar with the campaign that was run last year, Represent, and the priority there being, again, to promote positive brand awareness about the district, but specifically targeting certified teachers and other staff to fill non-certified positions throughout the district, understanding that the market for labor was highly competitive, especially for certified staff, especially in certain areas of instruction. And so being laser focused on that. But again, awareness, and then also driving to action. There was a call to action, relying on digital media and also digital conversion. The next slide here is really showing that overall, there is this objective to promote positive brand awareness among key stakeholders. There's a lot of similarities in that message, but because the targets, it may be the same person, but they're approaching you from different perspectives, whether they're considering enrolling their child at Hartford Public Schools or becoming an employee. The message does need to be nuanced between those two offerings. So on the left, you see school choice and enrollment. And again, the objective is what I stated from the previous slide. And on this Venn diagram, you see on the left, some things that might be specific to that school choice messaging: college preparation, pathways, unified arts, curriculum, things that we'd want to motivate our parents and prospective parents to choose Hartford Public Schools. On the right side is OTM and the things that a staff member would want to consider before potentially looking into the district. So professional learning, salary, benefits, the fact that it's a career that's highly rewarding, that they can make a difference. And then, of course, in the middle would have been messaging and themes that would have cut across both of those initiatives. So that's where you have sort of the common foundational characteristics of the district: high expectations, diversity, equity. We have high quality educators. That's appealing to both staff and, of course, to our parents, cultural enrichment, and then quality facilities as well. So some similarities in the message, but also wanting to differentiate so that we can influence action. Now, this slide shows the two partners that were engaged in both aspects of that campaign. Causeway was the agency of record for the Office of Enrollment and School Choice. Adams and Knight was the agency of record specifically for the OTM Represent campaign last year. Campaign objectives, we've touched on it, but again, it's about awareness of Hartford Public Schools and our offerings. It's about recruiting prospective students or prospective staff, and also about retaining staff. For school choice and enrollment, it was about increasing registration in Hartford Public Schools. Now on the Represent side, it was about increasing diversity and having folks actually apply to Hartford Public Schools. The funding source, just to draw a little bit of a distinction there, the funds for school choice is funded through the Regional School Choice Office through the HPS Services Agreement, also supplemented by general budget. Adams and Knight's contract last year was funded by ESSER for staffing and for recruitment and retention. The deliverables are pretty similar. I would note that Causeway did some really high quality photography in our schools last year. That imagery can be repurposed in a variety of spaces. Just wanted to call that out. Adams and Knight did some high quality studio photography for us, but you do see creative development, you see media strategy, buying, placements. And I would call out that a big majority of these media budgets, marketing budgets, are for media placements and buying. So it's for the actual inventory that needs to be bought either in a digital platform, on TV, radio, print, out of home, etc. And that's the actual commercial, so to speak, that you have to buy that space. Chief Davis Gooch, I want to just pause on that previous slide. Just anything you need to clarify if I missed anything in terms of like funding source or deliverables before we go forward?
I would say no, Jesse. Thanks for that. I mean, we are all familiar with the brochures that were developed for schools, the school guides. So all of that is within that scope of deliverables. Nope. So I think you covered it all.
Great.
I would probably extend the same question to Chief Curtis and Chief Blackbird.
No, I think Mr. Sugarman, you covered it. Great overview. So I'm all set.
Great.
Ditto for the Office of Talent Management and the campaign that we ran. Thank you.
Great. And we'll see some examples of the creative that Chief Davis Gooch referenced. On the next slide, you'll see a media calendar. So again, we have one of our beautiful photos of one of our students. So anytime you're seeing copy related to school choice and enrollment, that's represented by blue on this media calendar. We have one of our photos of one of our teachers with that orange background. So we used orange to show that on the calendar. And then there are a few pieces where it overlaps. So we sort of have the blue with the orange border. What we wanted to really show here was, one, the variety of media formats that you see for each of the different initiatives, that there is some overlap in the media formats that we use. So there are some efficiencies there. and also just the seasonality of the campaigns. So Blue for School Choice, of course, being earlier in the year leading up to the application close. I will note too that there were 2 weeks prior to the new year where the campaign started to run that are not represented on this calendar, just in terms of space and the way it was oriented for the media calendar, but I did want to call that out. And then how they were strategic about heavying up on the media leading up to the deadline. For the Office of Talent Management and the Represent campaign, you see a little bit more of a consistent lead time as Dr. Curtis and her team are hiring on a consistent basis. You do see earlier Media Flight representing when they were a little more active this year in the hiring season, but also you see a fairly heavy reliance on digital media. Of course, both groups trying to drive conversion via digital platform, either through registration or through applications. And one other piece, I'm sorry, leading up to the year, there were some sort of smaller campaigns that were done for back to school in out-of-home placement, and then also another pro bono out-of-home placement, also not represented on here, but those were fairly small buys, and those were done via out-of-home, so it was a digital billboard. And again, this is just paid media. So this would not represent what we do at a district level on social media channels or through Parent Square, email newsletters, etc. Now, here's some of the creative that Chief Davis Gooch just commented on. The left-hand side is the Represent campaign, one of the buskings that Dr. Curtis referenced in her presentation the other night that you do see still up on some of the buses going around Hartford. We love seeing that added value. Banner ads, also social media. Again, very heavy on the digital piece because we were able to geotarget, be a little more focused, and also retarget. On the right-hand side, you see the school choice and enrollment copy. Again, that beautiful photo. You see an example of a social media carousel ad to get a little more copy in this sort of limited space. Out-of-home pieces. So out-of-home can be a billboard. It can be a transit shelter. It could be a yard sign. It could be a smaller poster size creative. Anything that's out of the home. You see English and Spanish copy for both of these campaigns. The school selection guides, and then also postcards. So there was a direct mail piece that would go out to students, very specific individualized messaging that would go out to prospective students at key periods of time. One thing I would note here is, very bold with the colors, very clear messaging. There's a call to action across both of these creative campaigns. And then also allowing our students, allowing our staff to really be the star of the creative, that they are the product that we are trying to push towards our audiences. So that was all 22-23, with the exception of the Bus Kings that are still going 23-24 as added value. Now we look forward into 23-24. And again, sort of a similar setup with some minor changes. So we have the school choice campaign with Adams and Knight up for Board of Ed approval. And again, consideration in this committee. So the primary department would be the Office of School Choice and Enrollment. Secondary departments providing support would be Office of Talent Management and OFCP. So in terms of, so when the contract, when the RFP was sent, that was included in the messaging, that this would be something that, can we incorporate that brand messaging at key priorities for those two departments based on seasonality, based on timing, what sort of a buy would they potentially offer to, again, like create efficiencies, similar messaging, increasing brand awareness about Hartford Public Schools, but then how would they nuance the message to reach those specific audiences? So those are our secondary departments underneath this pending contract. The objectives are similar. The funding source, again, being similar. There's the inclusion of potentially using ESSER funds. And again, the deliverables would also be the same. The other piece that we have in our marketing campaign for the year is layering in the program that we have with CT Public. Now, CT Public is cross-cutting across all departments in a similar fashion to what we want from the Agency for School Choice. And they will follow the seasons of priorities. So as we approach the key seasons for school choice and enrollment and for the lottery closing, we would make sure that the copy that Connecticut Public is running complements what is being run in that other aspect of the campaign. As we approach the height of hiring season, we would make sure again that the copy running is going to complement what is running on other channels. It gives us an opportunity to heavy up a little bit. So that's my last slide. I'm happy to pause. Chief Davis Gooch, I'll lean on you. Do you want to pause for questions here, or do you prefer to keep moving?
I think I am going to pose that question to Chair Escribano.
Yep.
Do you think it's a good place to pause? And
Yes,
take
I
questions?
think, yeah, let's go ahead and pause for a moment, and let's take some questions. I'm gonna open it up to my fellow colleagues. I'm just taking a look at the screen. Mr. Walker, do you have any questions about the marketing recruitment contract?
Yes, Chair Escribano.
All yours.
Okay, thank you. The first question is really to scrutinize the life cycle of this contract. What's presented was 4 elements of deliverable. You can go back to it. I think you had creative, photography, production, media buy. I guess one question to Mr. Sugarman and the team is, when are we going to develop the in-house capacity for, hang on.
Christina,
on.
any way
Did
you can
you-
show the deliverables on the screen?
Hang on.
What side is that, Jesse? That's
I'm sorry if we're talking about the deliverables. It's slide 7 on mine. I don't know if you've combined this with another deck.
no.
Chair
I got it.
Escribano, just a point of
Yeah.
clarity, if I may.
Yes, Chief Davis Gooch, please, go ahead.
Board Member Walker, just want to share that these deliverables that we're highlighting, I'm not sure if your question will be better answered at the end of the contract proposal, because this actually was just a high-level overview of what happened last year to kind of help everyone understand our positioning for the upcoming school year. And so our deliverables may look different. I hear your question around being able to do these things in-house. So video placements and billboards and that creative. I will speak for my department. We have a director of enrollment and school choice who focuses on the services provided to the district around registration and management of just the program in general. We do have Kayla Palace, who's our assistant director, who does most of our marketing. But as you are aware, we are partners with the Regional School Choice Office. So the level of marketing that is required to support our district and magnet schools would not fall under, like we wouldn't have the capacity, the video production, the photography, all of those things. We certainly lead and support and work with our vendors to make these things happen, but having the in-house ability to, for a lack of a better word, pull this all off would be like having a firm within Hartford Public Schools. So I will stop there. I just wanted to bring the clarity of that's what we were looking at last year. And I will turn the rest of the question over to our marketing executive director, because I'm probably sure he could have done better with that answer, but I did want to just talk about the Office of Enrollment and School Choice around our capacity.
Yeah,
Mr. Sugarman, it looks like you want to say something.
sure. Yeah, if I could, Mr. Walker. So I think Chief Davis Gooch is absolutely right there. I mean, I would just say one thing is that regardless of in-house capabilities or using an external partner, you still need to buy the media. And so the vast majority of these contracts are invested in media placements. So whether I was going direct or we were using an agency, those dollars still need to be spent. I would say on that point, though, the buying power from an agency where they're able to consolidate the buying from other clients is just going to be stronger than what we would be able to do internally. That's on a media buying placement just point. In terms of the creative value that you can get, that is their expertise. That is their full-time job. We are able to produce, I think, high quality visuals. I'm really proud of what we can do as a team. Is it ready for TV? Probably not. That takes a lot of studio time. That takes a lot of expertise in facilities and technology and equipment. And so what's more cost effective for us is to bring in an external partner who can do that, as on an as needed basis. What they also can do, I would say, are marketing partners is they serve as partners for us also in the development of strategy and providing counsel on what we can do with our internal tools. So when you look at our website, which is a really valuable tool for us in terms of sharing information, one, they can produce content that we can then put on that website, but two, they can help us to organize that site better and to sort of use that in coordination with our other tools like social media, email marketing, and any other communications platform we would use.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Sugarman.
Walker, I also just want to, I'm just gonna look to you, Mr. Walker, if you want to wait until the remainder of the presentation to, we can probably go back in more details to your original question, but I'll look to you, Mr. Walker. What do you prefer?
Sure. Are you looking to take your leave at this point?
No, not yet. I'm gonna stay on a couple of more minutes. I think I got a little bit more energy on me.
Okay, perfect. I think, I do want to target this some more and make the point that this has been a multi-year project and with Adams and Knight, multi-year relationship with the district. My expectation is that the leadership, Mrs. Sugarman, Teacher Googe, and others begin to talk to us about how this becomes sunset. In this one area, what I'm really pressing Mr. Sugarman on is the idea of creative development. If you look at the pictures and whatnot, they're pretty stark, they're very vanilla type of presentations. They're beautiful, they're colorful, but I would want to believe that we can begin to develop in-house development capability to develop that type of content, brochures and other type of marketing publications. Now, I will concede to you, if we focus on video production and photography, yes, those are areas of great expertise. I will pay someone outside who's great expert in that area, but then talk to me about, the great work they're doing there and why it's a savings for us. If you're talking about the marketing strategy and buy, okay, let's look at the real savings. Why are we saving with them over us trying to do it ourselves and why it can be more effective? I just don't see it here, that particular piece. But if you go and look at the picture, we can flip Christina to the pictures. All right, now I'm just going to interrogate this, go back to those pictures. We are speaking Hartford Public Schools in the city of Hartford. Those banner ads, beautiful. They will be beautiful in LA, Cleveland, Indianapolis. That's just good basic diversity stuff and it's wonderful. I don't look at those pictures and see anything that says Hartford, something that really shows the vitality and the spirit of the actual Hartford area. I don't see local Hartford people. They're wonderful looking people. But if I'm paying for someone to really create something that says Hartford, draws me to Hartford, I don't see that there. I see something that says diverse people apply to Hartford Public Schools. I think most diverse people know to apply to urban school districts. Okay, so I'm just saying the creative example, while nice, I think it deserves to be interrogated that they're good but vanilla. And so I'm just saying at some point, how many years do we keep paying for that versus saying we could create that kind of capacity in-house and keep doing that. Now, if there's something more strategic that they're doing and other kind of messaging that we can really show that they're really offering that type of real strategic strategy, then we can elevate that, but I'm going to challenge, let's get them to lift their game beyond what we're seeing here. The school selection guide shows a little bit of something that looks like Hartford, maybe, but the only thing that really looks like Hartford to me at all is that one photography picture of the girl in front of that school that looks like a Hartford school. And I'm only saying this because we're getting into year 2, and this, year 2 and year 3, we should ask for more value add, or, at some point I should interrogate, am I paying for the same thing over and over each year? So I'm just putting out there the tone, the challenge that the leadership to really, talk to us more in that kind of way. Does that make sense, Mr. Sugarman?
Wait a minute, I'm gonna just step in here and
Sure.
also time's sake before you answer, Mr. Sugarman, I want to recognize that Ms. Brody has joined us. So I'll let Mr. Sugarman, feel free if you want to respond to that, or if you want to, and then I want to keep it moving and give Ms. Brody an opportunity to ask any questions, okay?
I think what I'd like to do, I heard a few questions. I think I'd like to turn it over to Chief Davis Googe and allow Adams and Knight to go through their presentation that may answer some of the questions that you have. And then if there's time available, I'd be happy to have a conversation. But in terms of the next step, I think actually presenting what Adams and Knight is offering in collaboration with Chief Davis Googe in her office, I think is probably the best next step. But I'm happy to have the follow-up.
Chief Davis Googe, if you agree with that, we can move forward with Adams and Knight. Yeah.
I do. I just would just like to share, just for a point of clarity, if you're referring to it being a multi-year contract that Hartford Public Schools has been contracting out with vendors, I just want to make sure that it's clear that Adams and Knight has been a partner with Hartford Public Schools for 1 year. Causeway has been with us for 7 years, and that all the people who we are looking at are either Hartford teachers, Hartford students. Those are our walls and those are our students. So I just want to make, I just wasn't sure, Boardman Walker, that you understood that those were our kids and schools.
Yes, thank you. The selection guide, I was really looking at those banner ads and those busking ads.
Those are also our teachers, if I could.
If I can just step in for just a point of order in terms of time as well. I just want to clarify, these are our employees, these are our students, these are our backgrounds, these are our spaces, just for clarity's sake here and for the viewing audience. These are not standard stock photos, I guess is what I'm saying here. So let's move forward to the Adams and Knight presentation. I think that'll allow Ms. Brody, I know you came in the, I don't know, towards the end tail of that. So let's just go into Adams and Knight, and then I will start off with you with any questions. So Chief Davis Googe and Chief Curtis or Mr. Sugarman, I don't know if you guys want to present them and then move from there.
Yeah, I'll begin. Just want to share a quick background on the process of how we got to select Adams and Knight. With the support of the city of Hartford, we went out to RFP. We had 7 responders, which we were excited about. We were able to engage further with several other agencies as well. Our selection committee included the Office of Enrollment and School Choice, myself and the team, the Office of Talent Management, Chief Curtis, the Office of Family and Community Partnerships, Chief Blackbird, and 2 principals. We collectively agreed that Adams and Knight was best positioned to support Hartford Public Schools at this point in time. Here with us today is Ms. Noah, Adams and Knight's Chief Strategy Officer. Again, some may already be familiar with her as she supported OTM's recruitment campaign, Represent. Good afternoon, Mrs. Noah. Thank you for joining us. I'm gonna turn it over to you to share about Adams and Knight and your visioning for HPS.
Thank you so much. And we're beyond excited and honored at the opportunity. So if you would kindly go to the next slide. So just a little background about us, Adams and Knight. One of the things that we always love to say is that we love to, partner with organizations and serve brands that really help others live healthier, wealthier, and happier lives. And that's really our mission. And so we feel like it aligns very much so with Hartford Public Schools in terms of helping parents and families find that best school, and helping, again, finding that best staff and providing, better, happier, wealthier lives. So with those insights, you'll see that a lot of our clients that we work with have similar goals, which allow us to be more expert in reaching the audiences that we need to impact. This deeper understanding of how they consume media, where they consume media, some of the barriers they may be, some of the challenges, how to best reach them, what kind of creative would be most impactful, all of that. We're able to kind of pool all of that knowledge and have that expertise, which we're able to leverage as we're coming up with the marketing strategy, messaging strategy, so on. So you'll see some of our clients here, Connecticut Children's, obviously reaching parents and families, Connecticut State Department of Education, American School for the Deaf. There's a mixture here, Hartford Healthcare, Hackensack Meridian Health, CCSU. There's a mix of, you'll see healthcare, health systems, and you'll see education clients, for which we are really trying to, again, engage with parents, engage with families, and or work on from a recruitment standpoint. We've also built a lot of these brands and have similar challenges where we need to come up with an overarching brand message and elevate the brand while slightly nuancing that message based on the objective that we need to get to. So I always use the example of, I'm Reem, Noah, that doesn't change, but I'll dress a certain way if I'm going to a wedding versus if I'm going to my son's baseball game, right? And so, but I am the same person. So as we think about Hartford Public School, we want to make sure, and I'm really excited for us to have that opportunity to make sure that we're, finding that unique brand proposition for Hartford Public Schools, elevating the brand in that way, and then making sure that every touch point we have through the different objectives that you have, just reinforce that brand proposition. Would you kindly go to the next slide? So just to give you a sense of our capabilities, again, we are a full integrated marketing advertising agency with almost 60 employees here that are experts in all of these different areas. And so partnering with us, I always like to say it's like Avengers Assemble. I can pull together experts in media, in research, in creative development, photography, editing, social media. We pull together teams and the team would have access to all of these expertise. But everything, like I said, from building brands and strategic services and building together those marketing strategies, traditional advertising, paid media. We have a full media team here in terms of media strategy, media placement. And just to something that was mentioned earlier in terms of that media buying power. We buy millions of dollars of media and have very strong relationships with the media and are able to negotiate better than our clients would be able to do on their own. And we're able to bring value and showcase those value adds just because of the nature of the relationships we have and the spending power that holistically that we purchase on behalf of our clients. And so our clients benefit from that across the board. From a content marketing strategy, brand storytelling. So again, how do we take this overarching theme and bring it to life across all channels? Digital marketing, website development, interactive tools. We have a full team downstairs. Video marketing, everything from, we have videographers and editors on staff, which make it very efficient for us to develop the video, edit it, get it to you as efficiently and quickly. We also have our own studios here for podcast development and video production. Earned media, we have a large PR team that is really good at pitching. And that is also, again, even if we're not necessarily doing PR, say, for example, we still pull them in. So as we're coming up with these messages, we're really scanning the market to see what else is being said and how do we really stand out. Talked about social media, influencer marketing. We do a lot of influencer marketing. That might be something we could always explore as we think about kind of changing, and we always talk about changing emotion into motion. So who do we need to influence and who can influence them? And then obviously supporting all of your events, experiential marketing, event marketing. So that just gives you an overview of what we do here, the people that we have to do it. Would you please forward to the next slide? Thank you so much. So I thought this would be the best way to quickly be able to kind of give you a sense of our view of how we would tackle this work together. So starting in October, we would really hit the ground running from a campaign planning standpoint. We would review all the past campaigns. We obviously have all the stuff we did on the OTM side, but historically, we just saw some of the campaigns. We'd look at all of those campaigns. We'd look at past results. We'd look at any research there is. We'd analyze the competitive landscape to really be able to understand, okay, who else is talking to these target audiences that we're trying to talk to? Who else is influencing them? And what are they saying? And what are we going to say that's different? And that gets them to take that action, right? So we take these two pieces, we do an audit of everything you've ever done. We do an audit of the marketplace. We do a PR landscape. We do a competitive landscape. And then we do what we call our SparkStorm session. This is very important. We kick off any work with this. So it's sometimes a half-day session. It could be truncated to 2.5 hours based on availability, but we get all the key stakeholders together, especially as we have these 3 key objectives. I facilitate a session. So we go through what I'll call our 5 M's. So first M is motivation. We go around and build consensus on what it is, what does success look like, so that we make sure that everything filters up to that. So what does success look like? We talk about what those priorities are, and then we prioritize the priorities, right? So what are our key objectives? And then how are we going to measure them? That's the metrics piece. So that's our second M. How are we going to measure it? And then so that we can be building a custom dashboard, understanding what you're measuring on your end, what we're measuring on our end. How do we know we're successful? The third M is markets. So thinking about, so we know what we need to do and we know what success looks like. Markets really tells us who we need to influence. Within markets, we look at our key target audiences, parents and parents and families, potential prospect employees. We look and see. So we have some really, again, another value we offer from a paid media standpoint is that we have tools that give us deeper insights into target audiences by zip code, by demographic. We're able to see it through these tools, what kind of media they consume, what other socio-economic, demographic, we get to find out really interesting things that allow us, what motivates them, what behaviors, what do they see as challenges? So thinking about all the things that motivate from whether it's parent and by geography, by zip code, we're able to pull demographic and sociographic information that helps us better understand our target audience. So we'll come to you with that. We also look at secondary and tertiary research. So that's kind of the audience. And then we look at the competitors. So the second part of markets is competitors. Like I said, what are who else are we competing with as we think about schools? Who else are we competing with as we think about from an employer standpoint? Understanding that, and we'll look at their creative, we'll look at their social, we'll look at their media spend, just so that we know what we're up against. And then from there, we talk about messaging. What can we say as Hartford Public Schools that is true to who we are, unique in the marketplace, because we just looked at what everyone else is saying, and relevant to our key target audience. So it's TRU, right? So true, relevant, and unique. And we, again, facilitate a whole, we have a lot of different messaging exercises. And from there, we're able to articulate, what our unique brand proposition is going to be in positioning coming out of that. The fifth M real quick is methods. How are we going to reach our audiences? And so again, we've done stuff for OTM. There's a history of tactics that were done for enrollment. We would talk about that as a team, see what has been effective based on the audit that we did. So from there, we would create we would finalize a strategic marketing plan and positioning directions. And from there, we could decide if we wanted to do additional research to test what would resonate most with our audiences. From there, we move into creative concept development. So those positioning
Ms.
directions I
Noah?
just talked. Oh, sorry.
Ms. Noah,
Do I have
it's
to go
Sherry.
faster?
No. I wanted to just touch on one thing under campaign planning.
Yes.
So the finalize the strategic marketing plan. I just wanted to just plug in here that as we understand the need to ensure that our efforts are data-driven and produces successful outcomes, it's at this stage that we would begin to identify and finalize the metrics of success. And so, Chair Escribano, with your approval, at whatever point this ends, whether it's the November meeting or the December meeting, we would like to come back to committee to share the finalized metrics that come out of this bucket number one. So I just wanted to share that at this
Chief
point.
Davis Gooch, thank you for sharing that. And that is a great suggestion, and absolutely. We will make sure, Christina, we'll coordinate during our meetings to make sure that's including, and then whether that's November or December.
Thank you.
You may
Would you like
continue,
me to
and we're gonna
go?
hold off questions
Oh.
until to the end of the presentation.
All right, got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so from there, we would move into creative concept development. So that's basically putting together a brief based on everything that we learned coming out of that output session, the positioning directions, pulling together our team of art directors, copywriters. We typically put multiple teams on them so that we can get multiple directions and creative concepts. So again, that is a value to our clients because there's multiple teams. It's not just one team, an art director and copywriter. So we typically tend to put 2 to 3 teams. We'll come up with multiple concepts. Again, we love to work very collaboratively with the team. So inviting them to come here and kind of at that earlier stage, see where we're thinking of potential directions. We narrow them down and refine them based on feedback. And from there, we again can do testing or continue to finalize the concept. In addition to that, we would parallel path working with our media team to develop the media plan. So accordingly allocating media budget by audience, by tactics, some of the tactics that we've already started to think about. Again, digital display, paid social, video, audio, paid search. So starting to map out, again, using all of the tools that we have and the insights and understanding what our competitors are doing, how are we going to reach our audiences at the right time with the right message, developing these media plans. And I think another really interesting and important thing, as you saw the earlier slide that showed how there were, when both agencies, we had campaigns in market, there's a benefit to it being now all one, because we're going to be looking at where do we find those synergies? Where do we find those efficiencies? And how do we make sure that we don't come off as cannibalizing or competing with ourselves? Because we're going to make sure that every single message we get out there is helping us get that action that needs to happen, but also not taking away from something else and all reinforcing our unique brand proposition. So we would take all of that into consideration as we're developing the media plans. And again, we do this for other clients as well, multiple campaigns in market at the same time, finding those synergies to make every dollar work harder and more efficiently for you. From there, we would finalize media tactics and finalize the plan, get approval on it so that we can secure that media moving forward. In November to March, depending on when we're going to be kind of flighting out the media and when we're going to need to have the creative finalized for each of those campaigns, we would be developing everything from the videography, photography, custom art, whatever we need to do based on the concepts that we come up with. And then we're looking at a December to March, again, a flighted campaign launch. And you'll see here, very important from a brand standpoint, there will be brand assets, there will be stuff for student enrollment, teacher and staff recruitment, and parent engagement. So really looking at this as a multi-pronged, creative campaign, but also making sure that each one works very well together. So you'll feel that this is one brand. It's not multiple people, but every message will hit hard. We'll be implementing quarterly media reviews. That's another thing. We're not just putting stuff into market and just, praying that it works. We're monitoring it. There are team members here. That is their job. They will monitor the media as soon as it is in market and optimize as we go. So say a certain ad is doing better than another, we'll let you know, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to shift some of the dollars here because it's performing better. Or maybe a specific tactic is performing better than another, we'll shift dollars. And so that continuous optimization also is a huge benefit, because then we, again, make sure that the dollars can be as effective as possible. If you kindly go to the next slide. This just continues to show the life of the campaign. So we would, again, continue what I said in terms of monitoring, continuing to layer in assets and creative, and then, a final recap again. So we would have multiple touch points that we are reporting out on how the campaign is going, how the campaigns are performing. And then I think the last slide here kind of talks to what you were saying, Chief Davis, in terms of some of the potential metrics. So if you would kindly go to the next slide. So again, we will finalize this, refine it, fine tune it once we have our SparkStorm session, because we need to have that. But some of the things that we know that we are going to be able to, parent-family engagement metrics, number of applications submitted, number of positions filled, obviously on-site metrics, site visits, time on site, bounce rates, pages per visit. And then from a paid media metric, the impressions, how many people we're reaching, and important things like cost per click and cost per lead and click-through rate that we will talk, more about. And then obviously from a social standpoint, how the likes, how many people are watching our videos, how many people are sharing them. So these all give us indications of, how our marketing, how our paid dollars are delivering against benchmarks. And I think that is it.
Great. Chief Davis Googe, before I open up for questions, is there anything you want to add before I ask my colleagues if they have any questions?
Sure. I think I just wanted to quickly touch on, as noted in the overview, the contract is cross-departmental, and based on the combined funding, the projected contract is to not exceed $300,000. Again, the funding sources will include the Magna State Operating Grant, supplemented by general budget and potentially some ESSER dollars. So with your approval or this committee's approval, we would move this contract forward to the Finance Committee, which is Monday, I believe. And then from there, with that approval, move to the regular board meeting.
Thank you, Chief Davis Googe. You were just going to be what I was going to say about the process, because I saw a chat in there. So yes, upon our review here on FCE committee, it will then go to Monday's Finance Committee, where they will dig deeper into the financial aspect of this contract. And then if approved there, it would go to the full board meeting. And by approve, I mean, as long as everyone has a consensus that we feel good about this, that's moving on to the full board at this month, which is Tuesday. I forget the date. Christina, what was the date? October
17, I believe.
17th, yeah.
And just another point of clarity, if I may, we went out to RFP. I'm just going to say early June. There were some delays at the city, which brought us to this point of being delayed in terms of our approval process. We could not move forward for about, we lost about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, because of some staffing challenges at the city. So I just wanted to also share that. If you look in prior years, we've come to you all with this similar contract prior to October.
Thank you, Chief Davis Gooch, for that clarification. I'm going to open it up to my fellow colleagues. I see Ms. Brody has her hand up. Ms. Brody, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. How are we moving this forward and we don't have metrics?
So I can answer that. Because it's cross-departmental, if we go back to the slide that talks about the process of that we're going to follow, the metrics will come after we have our planning, right? Because at this point, what we've done is gone out to RFP. Once we finalize the marketing plan, then there will be metrics applied to the plan that will reflect the successful outcomes or whatever the outcomes might be. So if you're looking, so for instance, we said there would be an increase in the number of applications by Hartford residents or suburban residents, or increase in the number of applications for job recruiting. We just want to understand what the actual plan will look like and then develop those metrics to make sure that, you know, we're meeting them. So we will have those metrics no later than November in terms of being able to engage with Adams and Knight to come up with the plan.
To
Ms.
you,
Brody,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I don't see how we're asking a board to approve something without metric. That just seems kind of crazy to me. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Brody, for that comment. And I completely understand. I see both sides of this. I will ask Chief Davis Gooch. You said November. You said we will have metrics around November.
Yes, so if we're looking at this chart, right, we're going to spend the rest of October, right, working with Adams and Knight to finalize the strategic marketing plan. And out of that conversation, we will then come back to you all with the metrics.
So I will ask formally here now in November, once you have that, maybe it's December as you collect those metrics, to come back to this committee and present those metrics if, right, we move forward with this in the finance committee.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I mentioned earlier on during the presentation, is that was a request I was making of you as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for, yes, sorry, my brain is kind of foggy right now.
That's
Yes, I
okay.
remember that. Thank you. Ms. Brody, I'll come right back to you. Mr. Walker. Oh, you're on mute, Mr. Walker. There
I'm
you go.
sorry, like put the hand down or the microphone. So thank you, Chair. Chief Davis Gooch, thank you for clarifying that Adams and Knight started last year, because I started on the board last year. And I know we've had marketing for a number of years. And I think you clarified that we had another firm before then. And so I would endorse what you said in terms of this current plan. Please revisit the committee with the metrics that this new plan is going to have. Let's have us analyze that and look at that as we launch this thing forward. I would think the Adams Knight representative, Ms. Noor, very comprehensive presentation, got it, very good. Now, because when I did start, I remember we approved something by Adams and Knight last year, and it might have been focused towards OTM more than this new plan. What I would endorse him is that Board Member Brody is saying is, I think it is worth taking a look at how did Adams and Knight perform over the past year. I know it wasn't over this plan, it was over another initiative. Maybe there was more OTM focus around recruitment from what I recall. But let's look at how they performed then to see how well they performed against the predictions. Did those outcomes actually drive anything good, or get some real benefit for the district? So I do think it's worth, to her point, looking at Adams and Knight's performance, even though it wasn't quite in this actual campaign. So I would have the two asks. Let's
Yep.
maybe take a peek at that past performance, and let's also look at your current metrics for this new strategy that you're going to launch.
Chair Escribano, if I may.
Yes, Chief Davis Gooch, go right ahead.
Yeah, I would say that Monday's budget workshop was specific to Adams and Knight's participation in OTM's recruitment last year. And there was metrics shared during Monday night's budget workshop. Chief Curtis, if I may ask you to provide additional information.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So one of the slides did give an outcome of the results of our marketing campaign. We didn't name Adams and Knight specifically. We just said this was a contributor to our successful hiring campaign, our marketing strategy. But of course, Adams and Knight was our partner. So we provided all the metrics. One of them was that the click-through rate, that we had over 8 million impressions. That means that our ad was seen at least 8 million times, and it drove traffic to our applicant tracking system, which is Nimble, at an increased rate of 10%. So we had a 10% increase in our applicant activity in Nimble this year. We also, when we looked at we have metrics at the beginning where we said our click-through rate needs to be at this percentage, and we outperformed that percentage rate every time we met with Adams and Knight to get the outcomes of our campaign. Because we had that data across the entire campaign, at the end of the campaign, we were left with, I think, about $13,000 that we had to make a decision on how to spend. And when Reem met with our team, she said, here's how you performed. And this is where you spent all your money. And we believe the $13,000 should be spent in this area based on the results that we've gotten the entire campaign. So we have metrics. Not only do we have them at the beginning of the campaign, but we outperformed them across the entire campaign. And that informed how we were to spend our money at the end.
Thank you, Chief. One moment, Mr. Walker. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
Chief Davis Gooch didn't have anything to add, or even Reem, before we open it back up to Ms. Brody and Mr. Walker. Excuse me.
I do not. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Reem, I'll give you an opportunity if there's anything you want to add before I hand it off again to my colleagues.
I appreciate that. I think everything was explained absolutely correctly. And I think I talked about that process, and we would continue that process. Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Walker?
Connecting the dots, I think it would serve the interest better to grab those slides. And I agree with Dr. Curtis. I do remember hearing about click-through rates and things, but to grab those slides and connect the dots and then connect to what Reem was talking about, that to show how the performance helped drive smarter spend, so that we got smarter at how to spend along the way. If we could see that in a way that we could digest, then it would validate some of the value of Adams and Knight. Because right now, it's kind of in there, but as Dr. Curtis acknowledged, it's in there in a way that for board members like us, it's kind of speculative for us to kind of pull out how that all happened. And so I think it'd be nice to have it all pulled together so we can really see clearly, yeah, here's Adams Knight's contribution, and here's how it drove us to be smarter at the end than we were at the beginning. Because that's what Reem is saying is going to happen in this process that they're going to be doing this year.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Ms. Brody, and I just want to reiterate, thank you again, Chief Davis Gooch and Dr. Curtis, reminder of that workshop where this was discussed, some of those metrics. I appreciate that. Ms. Brody, floor is all yours.
Thank you. With those metrics, I think we can all pretty much state that we can't give Adam and Knight credit for those. They're not the only reason why people apply to Hartford Public Schools, right? I know a year ago I asked that if we could put like a question that they would actually, someone would be able to check. So are we saying that the presentation at the workshop clearly showed that these people applying clicked, how did I hear about it? And they click Facebook, or they click all those places that Adams and Knight actually advertises, so we can tie it directly back to them. Is that what I'm hearing?
Thank
I
you,
would-
Ms. Brody. Chief, no, you're good, Dr. Curtis. I was just gonna hand it over to you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So I would say that we have evidence that shows because we were in the digital marketing space, we were in the market, that because and I'm sure Reem and Jesse can explain this much better, but there is a connection between when something showed up on social media, someone clicked on it, and then they went directly to our landing page. They clicked on that. Like, we have a direct link. When we used Adams and Knight at the end of the year prior, because we got in the hiring space with marketing so late in the game, we didn't have a large enough presence. This hiring season, we doubled down on that marketing campaign. We were in the market longer, and we could see over time, we have month by month over time, our results from being from each, I don't know, digital product that we use. But I'm sure Noah, Reem, you can describe it better.
Yes, so again, when we are placing the media, we're placing something called, like code onto the website, and we're able to track if the whole continuum from when somebody sees our ad, clicks on it, where they're going. They went to the website, what are they spending time on, to the clicking to the apply. So we're able to report on our end the number of people that we drove to click on that button to actually apply. We also, through paid search, so paid search is a very powerful thing. These are people that are searching for specific jobs, right? They're saying, and so we buy those specific keywords so that when they're searching, I'm putting in, teacher, Hartford, or, whatever any of our positions are, those keywords I'm taking to a paid ad that drives to our landing page. That is direct traffic that goes right there. We absolutely take credit for that piece as well. The billboards, the bus kings that are still out there, all of that added value, I think we should calculate the added value and how much we were able to negotiate, because I think you would be surprised to see all that value add that you're continuing to get. Nobody can click on a billboard, right? Nobody can click on a bus, but that awareness, right? So they see it, and then they're on Facebook, or they're, on a website. All of that frequency helps get to that final click. And, just because of the way that they call that final click attribution, we're able to track just that final click, but understand that without the awareness vehicles, that would be much lower, because everything works better when it works together. So hopefully that helps as well, but I'm happy to provide any additional data needed.
Thank you. Before I give it back to you, Ms. Brody, I just want to reiterate, this was discussed in the workshop there, that information, some of the information that Dr. Curtis and Reem is discussing. So I just want to encourage my colleagues to just go watch the workshop if they weren't able to attend. I just want to make sure we stay focused with questions on this specific contract. Excuse me, stay specific to this contract. And again, I really encourage my colleagues and the viewing audience to go back and review that workshop. Ms. Brody?
Yeah, we would be able to talk about this if we had metrics to talk about. So that's why we're referring to their previous contract with us, because we don't have anything to go by. We're trying to justify voting for this. So it's hard. So if in regards to the consensus, count me as a no for even moving it to finance.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. And I hear, I'll get to you right now, Mr. Walker. And I hear your point, and I just want to clarify again. This was delayed. This would have been presented earlier to us. There was some delays at the city end, and based off what is presented to us today, we will have metrics. I hear you. We should have had metrics before, but here we are. This is the campaign planning they're starting. We will have those metrics in November that will then be presented to you. I hear you though, and 110% in terms of having those metrics. We will have them in November. And I hear you loud and clear about not wanting to move this forward. So thank you for expressing that, Ms. Brody. Mr. Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I want to talk about the value of this conversation. If one were to look at the past presentation, and I was there, I looked at some of that budget presentation, this level of detail wasn't there. Some of the detail comes across because you ask the question, you kind of, there is the need to get to this level of scrutiny. Okay, and I don't want to convey that all of this detail was in the other previous presentation, and so what I'm saying is, and in this presentation, so what we're going to have going forward is, in this kind of presentation, there should be on the front end that past performance, and it should be expected as we're talking about using a vendor that past performance be part of why. You know, we saw the pretty pictures, we saw previous campaigns, the details of what Reem talked about was fabulous, but it came because we asked the question, and she helped. I think in some cases we need a little more education here, right? That talks about how the process works. And so I think the education would be helpful as well. And so I would encourage the pulling together of the previous presentation, some of the details spoken here, so that folks can get the education to really see the value that happens when the technology and the strategy and it drives the increases that Reem talked about. I didn't get it before tonight, and I'm just telling you, I looked at the previous presentation, and it came across clearer tonight through the questions and through Reem's explanation, and Chief David Scoot and Dr. Curtis kind of adding their additional components to it. And so I'm just going to say that to the leadership here, that this data matters. And really, what I'm also saying, I'm looking at Mr. Sugarman, it's not about putting the data together. Put this data together to tell a story. You guys are marketing people, you're bright people, put a narrative together that helps explain how the data, the process works together to deliver the value that we're all paying for. Okay, because I'm telling you, it isn't totally obvious just looking at the previous presentation and listening to that particular discussion.
Chief David Scoot, I'll let you go, and then I'll share something as well. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I think it's important to note two things, that while Adams and Knight had a presence in the district for Hartford Public Schools through OTM last year, when we look at this contract, it's a different contract in that it's cross-departmental. So if Causeway who was our prior vendor for the Office of Enrollment and School Choice, if they were coming back to us and you said, how did they perform? Then I could present those metrics, right? But in this case, this is a new vendor to the Office of Enrollment and School Choice. So maybe I'm not quite understanding like what metrics. I think it's coincidental that Adams and Knight worked last year with OTM, and now they are the vendor for the Office of Enrollment and School Choice, and will continue to be the vendor for OTM and also family and community engagement. So in my development of this presentation along with the team, we didn't have a prior metric to show why they would be successful. I think I'm just trying to connect that their success with OTM and the future success might be two different things. So it would be helpful to me, and I'm more than willing to work prior to the finance committee and the board meeting on the 17th. Because what we do have to do as a district is open up with the regional school choice in December. And there are dollars that are provided from the regional school choice office that we have agreed to through a service agreement to make sure we participate and be ready to participate. So I am, like I said, willing to do whatever needs to be done to make sure that you all have what you need, because just honestly, we really need to get to work to make sure that our families and the larger community have what they need to participate in an informed way come December. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Davis-Gooch. And, overall, what I wanted to say was, thank you, one, for clarifying that. Again, this is a new vendor. There's no metrics. Thank you for that, Chief Davis-Gooch. However, in November, right, some of the comments that were made here by my colleagues in terms of that level of detail and just that narrative and connecting the dots, right, the expectation for that meeting and work with you, Chief Davis-Gooch, to make sure that that is as clear as possible come November/December when you have those metrics. Mr. Walker. And then what I just want to also do time check. It is 5:41 and I think there's one other item on the agenda that we need to review. So I just wanted to do a time check. Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Chair. Chief Davis-Gooch, thank you for the clarification. I did understand that because this is a new project, it's not a direct corollary between the past efforts by Adams and Knight and what you're launching on, and I agree. And so the implication is not that somehow there's some deficiency in your presentation, but Adams and Knight did work with the district last year. We paid them for work last year. It is fair to say, let's see how they performed. Because if Adams and Knight underperformed last year, I would be hesitant to put them on this new project. Even though they've not done work for you, I would be hesitant to put them on this new project if they underperformed. And so it's not unfair to look at the past performance of a contractor who directly worked for a district and really a fairly similar type of activity, right? Using marketing and branding, and social media strategies to drive to some objective. And so that's all, I'm just clarifying that. So in the future, I would invite you, I'm just saying, Chief Davis-Gooch, where it's not a deficiency on your part not to include it. I think including their past performance could strengthen your argument as to, and here's why we picked them as part of the 7 people that we looked at. That's all I would offer to that, and I'll yield the floor at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Ms. Brody has expressed her concerns, and she does not feel comfortable moving this forward to Finance Committee. That has been noted here. Mr. Walker, are you good moving this to the Finance Committee?
I would say that I would, based on this conversation tonight, I think there's enough here of the performance that Adams Knight would bring that it's worth moving it forward. But I certainly would invite that prior analysis to be brought forth to the full board meeting or in November, the strategy metric, bring that stuff forward, because I think it would strengthen the rationale for moving forward with them.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Chief Davis-Gooch, I'm looking at you and Dr. Curtis and Mr. Sugarman. If you guys can or work with Christina and just send, I know you guys had the workshop, those metrics and the additional stuff that we discussed here and everything else that was asked prior to, tomorrow's Friday, so prior to the board meeting, the 17th, to all the board members, so just they have that information. I asked that of you. I know it's a quick turnaround. I'm not going to say before Finance Committee, because unless you guys are able to do that tomorrow. So that is my ask here. I on my end understand both sides in terms of their performance, given the work that they did last year. I also understand that they're a new vendor to this side, right? So there is no metric. So I understand both sides. And I will be reviewing again the workshop as well with more time. I again encourage my colleagues to see those workshops. Chief Davis Boots, Mr. Sugarman, and Dr. Curtis and Christina will work to get the additional metrics sent before the board meeting this month as well. Given that this will be moved to the Finance Committee for Monday for review on their end. Given those stipulations, Chief Davis Boots. Does that sound good?
It does.
Doable? Is it doable on your end?
Yes, it is.
Great. Thank you. I am now going to jump off. It's finally kicking in the medicine. So Mr. Walker, if you don't mind, please taking over the rest of the agenda. And I believe there was one topic that was removed, but I'll pass it on to you and Chief Blackburn. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Chair Escobar, and thank you, Adams and Knight. I don't know if they're staying on beyond this, but because I certainly feel like the tires were kicked tonight, and I feel like we got better data and information out of it, and so I appreciate what was provided. I mean, from all the participants, Chief Davis Good, Reem, Dr. Curtis, and Mr. Sugarman. So checking the agenda, there were 2 items remaining. There was family engagement and FACES. Chief Blackburn, were you driving that part of the discussion, and were you going to speak to both of those issues, both FACES and family engagement?
Good evening, everyone, and so far, definitely, we've been here together and would hope folks would stay on for a touch because we do have our families with us. The Family Engagement Toolkit, I believe Christina inadvertently left that on because that was not what we had on deck for this evening, but that can come back. So we do have FACES, our family and community education, saying it wrong, family and community educational supports. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. I'm gonna have my yoga and perk up. So we do have our FACES team with us, and Mr. Walker, I will not be leading this part of the conversation, but Ms. Viviana Alvarado, our family engagement manager, will be. So you let me know when you're ready for her to proceed.
Thank you, Viviana, you have the floor.
Thank you. Christina, will I be sharing my screen or will you? Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. As you all know, my name is Viviana Alvarado. I'm the Family Engagement Manager. With us, I have tonight some of the representatives, some of the leadership group of FACES. We have T'Challa Williams, we have Jennifer Wilder, Crystal Tenner, and Ariadna Delgado. She is also here with us. So wanted to just make sure that we all say hi to them. Christina, you can move on to the next slide. So FACES has been a project, an initiative, a movement that has been in the works for a couple of years now. We did have a great year last year. Just wanted to do a little overview. We had a FACES conference in September. We had some community conversations that sparked a lot of movement across the district. We had advisory council meetings with the superintendent. Some of our leaders attended professional development. They also led focus groups for the innovation networks, schools that are moving forward this year. And they were involved in many of the policy reviews that we had last year. So these are just a couple of things just to ground us in what work they did last year. Christina, you can move on. So just a little bit of background. Our first year, what we did was capturing community voice. That's how our leadership team got developed, right? We started with surveys, one-on-one interviews. We also hosted focus groups. I do want to mention that the interviews and focus groups were also done in Spanish. Ariadna being one of those parents that I personally spoke to, and it was great to have that connection with her. Surveys, we did an independent survey with TNCP, but we also incorporated some of the survey questions to our own HPS survey to get more data. After that, we had our strategic planning and design phase. Candidates, these lovely ladies over here, and everyone who is part of the leadership team applied to be part of the design committee. We had a rubric, we had specific questions that were asked. So we did conduct these interviews. Then we started our design sessions. We had 4 design sessions during that summer. They were intense. We spent 3-4 hours doing these design sessions. And then last school year, we started our pilot testing with the community conversations and suggestion box. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. And the suggestion box. This new year, we are with all that we learned, the professional learning that we had, and what is going to happen, right? It's going to be revision and implementation, right? So what did we do last year that worked? What did we do that we need to tweak? And what are our goals? And implement whatever changes we want to do. So we have community conversations, leadership meetings, youth empowerment and community connections. These are, at a high level, right, some of the goals that we have for this coming year. Christina, you can move on. Thank you. Right, I have it also here on my computer, so if you see me moving, it's because of that. So this year, we have for our goals, youth empowerment is one of the first ones. Our families feel, yes, this is great, we're bringing our voice, but let's hear from the students. Some of the plans and tasks that we have for this is actually having students join our FACES meetings, right? So we started this conversation briefly at a community conversation that we had recently. At our next community conversation in December, we're going to discuss, the plans, student nominations, how we're going to go about this, and how we can get the message to the students that, hey, we want you to come talk to us, right? The schools are also for you. The students are at the center of everything that we do, so we want to hear from them. I actually think that one of the moms at the recent conversation said that her student wanted to join, but then he saw that the other kids were having fun at childcare, so he left. But next time we might just leave him with us. And then January, we plan to meet with the students, train and prepare them, let them know, hey, this is what the work that we've been doing. This is where we're going. Is this something that you still want to do? If you do, let's walk together. Let's do this together. February, they'll present to the community what their goals are. March, there will be a voting of who will be joining FACES. And then in April, we are introducing them to the community. That's the plan that we have as of today for youth empowerment. For family engagement, right, strategizing and leadership meetings, we have our community conversations. We are meeting with the leadership groups, which are PTOs and SGC members. We really are pushing the message that we want to meet with them. Last year, that was a common topic that we heard. We need to get all the PTOs together. We need to get all the SGCs together. So that is one goal that we have. And community connections. We're having a holiday dinner / community conversation. We're also having a virtual community conversation in February and a in-person in March. By the end of the year, our goal is to have at least 2 meetings with the support of community partners. We already have partners that have reached out. Many of the partners that reached out during the summer for back to school events, they are always asking how they can come to our events, our community conversations, our learning sessions. So by the end of the year, we are hoping to co-lead 2 of those meetings with not necessarily just one partner, but a partner. And Christina, you can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is our leadership group. Like I mentioned, some of them are here. We have, and they are in no particular order. We have Jennifer Wilder, who is the SGC chair at Hartford Public High School. Wanted to bring the attention that we have representation from all zones. We have both neighborhood and magnet schools as well. T'Challa Williams, SGC chair at Weaver High School. Michelle Martinez, who I think she is or she was on the call. She's an FCSSB at McDonough. She is also a mom to students of Hartford Public Schools. Stefan Palmer at Global Communications. Ariana Delgado, who is here with us. She actually started with the design sessions, and then she started working with Hartford Public Schools right after. So that was a great little celebration for us to have her stay with us, not only as a Faces mom, but as a employee. Crystal Tenner, who is amazing. She is a lot at ESM. She is that mom that hands out the flyers, that's there, that does this, that does everything at Environmental Science Magnet School, Zone 3. Jeanette Ventura, who is a Hope Academy TESOL teacher. And Melissa Richards, who is the SGC chair at Sports and Medical Science Academy in Zone 4. So this is our board, and that's what we have for today. Do you have any questions? Mr. Walker, give it back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Alvarado. Viviana, great presentation. I appreciate the members of Faces hanging on the call. It was certainly a protracted conversation, albeit important, but your work is equally important. I'm inspired by what you do. I think, and I like your plan. I would see if there's any questions out here. I have a comment myself to make, but let me check to see if there's a question. I don't see one at the moment. So I would say to Chief Blackburk that I know we talked a bit about more engagement with the board or family and community engagement in the district. And so I would certainly like to be aware of the Faces meetings. And while I can't attend them all, I would like to maybe attend a few to see the community conversations they're having. Maybe I too can visit more of the SGCs or PTOs that you're visiting. So between Christina and Chief Blackburk, if maybe we can work to get a calendar pulled together so we can kind of have some heads up as to when some of these events are happening. Ms. Alvarado, I guess board members or community members are welcome to attend your events.
Yes, all of the workshops, learning sessions, anything that I do is open to the entire Hartford Public Schools community, and that includes board members, community partners, anybody.
Okay, so that'd be my feedback. I'm liking your plan. I'm hoping it's really successful, getting more engagement, and I certainly would be open to participate in some of the events as schedule would allow.
Thank you.
Oh,
Mr. Chair?
yeah, I was gonna ask Chief Blackburk. Yes, let me yield the floor to you.
Thank you. I know that you are currently the only board member that is still on the call, but the great work that the Faces team has continued to do with families across the district, just want to ensure that we can also share this with all board members, whatever the mechanism is for that. I know this is a smaller committee, but really want to highlight the amazing work that they continue to do. It does speak volumes when we have parents, like that's what we want. We want parents to become engaged and start working in the district. And so through the work of FACES, we are seeing that happen. So I just want to ensure that it's shared broadly with the full board, the great work that FACES continues to do. That was all.
No, thank you, Chief Blackburg. I would agree. I remember last year at the awards program at Martin Luther King School, I believe T'Challa or other FACES members were recognized. And so there is some recognition for the work they do. It needs a little broader awareness, which is why I was encouraging you or Christina to help maybe put a calendar together to at least make it available to us so we can actually attend. I would suggest to, again, Chief Blackburg and Ms. Alvarado, that holiday program, maybe we punctuate a little more marketing on that to really nudge administrators and the board members maybe to attend an event like that or some other event where we really show off the FACES and what you are accomplishing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and we'll work with Christina to get you the dates, and thank you so much for, like I like to share with my team, for carrying the water back to the full board, and we'll continue to make sure that any dates hit your calendar.
Thank you. So I'm going to check to see if there's any other messages. We seem to be losing a few folks because we have hit our deadline here. And so Chief Blackburg, if this concludes your section of presenting information, that maybe we can take the opportunity to consider adjournment.
Absolutely, that's it. That's all we had. Thank you so much to the FACES team. Love y'all and appreciate y'all. So thank you for your work.
And I too, as here interim or chair standing in for the FC&E committee, also thank you for what you're doing in the presentation, and to tell those who are listening in that this concludes the October 5th meeting of the Family and Community Engagement Committee. So